Da 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 da. Welcome back to Disenfranchised. I'm Karen Bulinski Mathison, founder of The Naked Grief and creator of the Disenfranchised podcast, the podcast that reveals disenfranchised grief through each friend's episode. And we've officially hit the season 2 finale. And let me tell you that it's a doozy. It's got everything from hideous bridesmaid dresses to internet soulmates that turn into our worst nightmares and a breakup that still hurts 30 years later. The episode is a masterclass in what we call relational death and the quiet, heavy mourning of a future that hasn't happened yet. So grab your tissues and maybe a bottle of Pepto-Bismol because we're diving deep into the one with Barry and Mindy's wedding. So in this finale, Rachel is forced to face her past head on. She's the maid of honor for her ex-fiancé Barry and her former best friend and maid of honor Mindy's wedding. It's a nightmare scenario. She's wearing a dress that looks like a bottle of Pepto-Bismol that got met with Bo Peep and her sheep. And that's not all, folks, because then she has the embarrassment of having her butt exposed to the whole congregation during the actual wedding ceremony. The fatalities of going to the bathroom right before the I do start, right? So her behind is on display for the entire congregation to see. And then she gets exposed to the rumors that are swirling around that she was recovering from syphilis. And that's why she didn't marry Barry the first time, or at his first wedding. And then meanwhile, we've got Monica and Richard, the couple that many of us expected to be endgame. And before the wedding part happens, they start talking about when you think about the future, do you see me in it? And he says, yes, sweetheart, I do. And then they delve deeper. And it's at the wedding when the kid conversation really comes out. So while they're dancing at the wedding, they finally tackle the kid conversation, and Richard says he's willing to do it if he has to be with her. And Monica realizes that a child shouldn't have to be a compromise. And they break up while still being deeply in love. And then we have the lighter side, but still grief adjacent, with Chandler falling for a mysterious woman online. Probably the beginning of internet dating as we know it. And of course it's a lot different now, but yeah, chat rooms were a thing back then. It was just easier. And now you're sending messages and waiting for somebody to read it and respond. And the chat rooms were a lot cooler. I miss AOL. Or remember MySpace. I never had a MySpace account, but I think MySpace was like that too, right? Chime in. Let me know, because thinking back to those good old days, right? And then we have poor Joey, who's up for a movie role. Warren Beatty's directing, and the character that he plays has a scene where he's supposed to kiss a guy, and it's not believable enough. Joey does get a call back, but he has to practice. He needs to get more comfortable with that kiss, and none of his friends are willing to try. And Ross does finally offer his services, but Joey's already been to and from the audition. And that's a whole other thing that we'll dive a little deeper into. So identifying the characters in grief. When we talk about mental health in TV shows, we often look for the big, obvious traumas. But in this episode, the grief is layered and often unrecognized. Monica and Richard are having the relational death. This is a heavy hitter. Monica and Richard aren't breaking up because of a lack of love. They're grieving a death of a relationship while it's still very much alive. They're just in two different places. Richard's already been there, done that with the kids. He's a grandpa now. He doesn't want to be in his 70s when his kids go off to college so he can start a life with Monica. He's in a place where he could close up shop and retire and whisk her away and just enjoy her. And she wants something different. And it's a relational death. The loss of a shared future. Monica is mourning the loss of the man she loves, and Richard is mourning the loss of a partner who made him feel young and vibrant. Rachel has public humiliation grief. Rachel isn't just grieving her dignity, she's grieving her reputation. She's returning to the scene of her crime. Literally, it's the same venue that she climbed out the window of and left Barry at the altar. And this subjects her to a specific type of social shame. She is the pariah, the punchline, and the subject of malicious rumors. Yeah, she had syphilis and stuff. And Barry even makes slurs about who had her leaving at whatever time. And the best man even starts his speech saying, when Barry met Rachel, I knew. And then he looks at Barry and goes, what? It's the same venue. I can't, and same band. I can't use the same speech. So she's the butt of a lot of jokes. And she takes it like a trooper for as long as she can. And then we've got Joey, who's having the professional rejection. And it might seem it's played for laughs, but Joey really struggles to get that kiss right. It's about his identity as an actor. Because every no in the acting world is a tiny death of a dream. Even when Ross offers to help, Joey still doesn't get the part, and that's a sting that lingers for him. So as we step into naming the disenfranchised grief in a little more detail, at disenFRIENDSchised, we specialize in unrecognized grief. And these are the losses that society doesn't give you a card for. The unborn child grief. This is perhaps the most poignant example of disenfranchised grief in the series because Monica is mourning a family that doesn't exist. And she has a deep biological and emotional yearning to be a mother. And by choosing to leave Richard, she is choosing her future child over her current partner. Society often tells women to just be happy with what you have. Or you're young, you'll find someone else later. But for Monica, the loss of those potential children and the loss of having them with Richard is a profound bereavement. And it's mourning of a dream. So I want to circle back a little bit with this. Because, again, Monica and Richard are grieving a death of their relationship while it's still very much alive. I would love to see in the comments who of you listeners out there have had that happen. Was it because the distance got to be too much? Was it because a pandemic broke out and you couldn't spend time together? Was it just wanting two different things? Maybe one of you wanted the family and the other one wanted to travel. Or whatever. But if the feelings were still very much alive, that becomes a genuine harder hit. I think it's a lot harder to get over that kind of a loss when it's not because of a betrayal. Because then you're angry. They're at a wedding. You're supposed to be celebrating your love while you're acknowledging the love of the people that just said I do. And we still don't really know how Monica and Richard got invited. Was it because Richard runs in the same doctor circles as Barry? Is Richard a friend of the family, like the parents? Because I don't think Monica and Barry are friends. Monica's certainly not friends with Mindy. This has often been pondered on a lot of different friend sites. I also would love to know how Monica and Richard ended up here. And then we've got the social pariah shame of Rachel. Rachel's experience at the wedding is a form of social grief. When you're labeled insane or the one who ran away, you lose your place in a community. Rachel has to walk down the aisle and reclaim her humanity while everyone sees her as a caricature. And she's flashing them her panties in the process. This kind of shame is a heavy weight to carry, and it's a form of loss. It's the loss of belonging. And she has to try and prove to everybody that she's different now. And she is. She left Barry while she was supposed to become this little domestic woman, right? The little housewife. And now she's independent, rocking it in the city. And she hasn't started her career yet, but she's on the verge. She's on that cliff ready to jump. And have nothing but good things carry her forward. And she wouldn't have had that if she had said yes to him. And it's why her mom finally was able to break free from her own version of a Barry. And that's tough too. Rachel has a lot that she's carrying in season 1 and season 2. And the beginning of season 3 is about to really kick it. So how did the group show up? What's the analysis of the friend support? Often it's a mixed bag, right? So Ross tried. He really did try. His toast at the wedding, where he tries to clear the air about Rachel not having syphilis, is a classic case of helping but making it worse. He was trying to protect her, but in doing so, he reminded everyone of the scandal. However, the real support comes in the smaller moments. The group being there for Rachel's return. Chandler's willingness to risk his heart on the internet, even if it led to Janice. And Ross's ultimate good friend move by kissing Joey. In the world of coping with grief and loss, sometimes the best support isn't a grand speech. It's the person who sits with you in the Pepto-Bismol moments of life and doesn't look away. And sometimes it's you having your own courage to stand tall right after having your butt shown during a wedding ceremony and getting up there and singing off-key Copacabana that you didn't even finish in your middle school talent show, and showing the world that you're different now. Takes a lot of guts, and Rachel had that. And she showed the world in that room how different she really was. And she did it after Ross did his embarrassing speech. She rose above all of it. Barry's slurs, Ross trying to be the hero, and she made herself the hero. That was a powerful hero move, so kudos, Rachel. So some coaching moments and reframes. Monica's choice, the future self versus the current self. Monica provides a powerful lesson in boundaries. She chooses her future self, the mother she knows she wants to be, over her current self, the woman who is happy in Richard's arms. A coaching tip: if you are in a right person, wrong time, or right person, wrong future situation, remember that staying in a relationship that requires you to abandon your core dreams is a slow motion grief. Choosing your future self isn't selfish. It's necessary. I mean, spoiler alert, Rachel actually does this during her 30th birthday when she's dating Tag. And she stops to go, if I stay with him, I'm going to really destroy my own timeline as to when I want to start a family. If I could keep him for a little bit longer, that'd be great. But she has to realize that she can't. She does a very strong move again, just like Monica did. She had to put her true goals over what her heart wanted. Have any of you ever done that? I did that recently. I was with a gentleman who was fun, but when I realized that we weren't really in line to have a future, it was better to cut ties at 7 months than to drag it out. And for what? Especially when I knew that I had some personal things going. You can hardly see the scar now, especially because I got some filters on this camera. But I had some things I was facing, and I knew that that was going to be tough enough on my own, let alone having somebody judge me or make me feel bad for not looking the way I did. And I didn't want that. I don't know, maybe he would have shown up different, but I didn't want to put that pressure on him either. And it was better for me to be like Monica and future Rachel, to look at things and go, yeah, it's probably better to walk away now and be okay with that. And that's grief too, because now you're going back to being single and getting back in that dating pool and being like Chandler and putting yourself out there and hoping that whoever it is you're chatting with is real and not catfishing you or not after something that you don't want or just wasting your time. It's tough out there, guys. So again, there's a lot in this. So just chime in. Let me know your own stories. Let's share a little. And then we've got Rachel's Copacabana moment. The reclaiming of the power, which I did talk about. But when Rachel stands up and sings that song, she's performing an act of cringe therapy. She takes the very thing that traumatized her in 8th grade and the embarrassment of the current wedding and stares them both down. So sometimes the only way out of shame is through it. Reclaim your narrative. If people are going to laugh, give them something worth laughing about on your terms. It's kind of why I've made sure that you can see my face. I still have a real hard time leaving my house. I'm not gonna lie. It's a small little scar, but it bothers me. It feels different on my face. It feels like I have a big bandage plastered right here. And I'm very self-conscious about it. I feel like people are staring at me. I feel less than. And when I'm on this screen and I'm showing you guys that I'm trying to rise above it, it's different. It lands good. And yeah, I got some filters. But even without the filters, it's really not horrible. I just prefer looking a little bit more polished. I don't do edits, so I figure it's better for me to just look a little bit more. So then we have the what if scenarios. What if Richard had wanted kids? What if he didn't say, if I have to, 17 times to try and convince himself? Likely, Richard and Monica would have stayed together for the long haul. But would Richard have been resentful? Would have he been that tired dad while Monica was the energetic mom? Sometimes the what if is a trap that keeps us from accepting the what is. What if Rachel had never gone to the wedding? What if she had said no to being the maid of honor? She would have avoided the humiliation, and she would have never had to get that closure. She would have always been the girl who ran away. By showing up, she proved that she could stand on her own feet, even though those feet were dyed in matching pink heels. So, some real life examples and the courage to walk away. We see this in our community all the time, the pain of good breakups. We're conditioned to think that breakups only happen when someone is a bad guy. But the grief of leaving someone that you still love because your paths are diverging is a special kind of hell. It does take immense courage to show up at an ex's wedding. And it also takes immense courage to end a relationship that is mostly perfect. If you're currently in that space, know that your grief is valid, even if it's invisible to everyone else. So are you ready for the Geller dimension? As we close out season 2, we leave our friends in a state of flux. Monica's heartbroken. Rachel is vindicated but exhausted. And Chandler is, well, Chandler's back with Janice. Next time, we're heading into season 3, starting with the one with Princess Leia's the Princess Leia fantasy. We'll be talking about sexual expectations, grief and intimacy, and why we sometimes try to be someone we're not just to keep a partner happy. So don't forget to head over to thenakedgrief.com to try and navigate through the different types of grief that we offer there. Because in a world that doesn't always recognize the grief, it's good to have a safe place to land. But I do think before we dive into season 3, I'm going to do a little highlight of the season 1 and 2. We had so much happen from our first intro of Ross with the hi, to Rachel walking into the coffee house in a wet wedding dress, to Monica having her identity stolen and losing her job, to Ross and Rachel not getting together and then getting together, Monica and Richard finding each other, Chandler's breakups several times with Janice, and Joey's struggles with acting. And how many times can that man be told no and not have it impact his ego? Like, I really feel like we deserve to have a little recap of all of the grief that they've really experienced in these now 47 episodes. So, until next time, keep it honest, keep it naked, if you want to. And we'll see you during the next episode. Till then, da 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 da.